The quantum sensors aboard the Ganymede research station lit up like a Christmas tree on what should have been an ordinary Tuesday morning. Dr. Elena Rodriguez nearly spilled her synthetic coffee as she stared at the readings. The anomaly had appeared just beyond Jupiter's orbit, a massive distortion in space-time that defied every known law of physics. "Director Chen needs to see this," she muttered, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. The station's AI immediately routed her findings to the director's neural link. Within minutes, the observation deck was crowded with the station's top scientists, all watching as something impossible emerged from the quantum distortion. The alien ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. Their hulls seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury, defying conventional geometry. There were 7 of them, arranged in a perfect hexagon around a larger central vessel. As humanity's most advanced outpost, Ganymede Station was humanity's first line of contact with whatever had just arrived on their cosmic doorstep. Director Chen's weathered face remained impassive as he studied the vessels. "Open all frequencies," he ordered. "Let's hope first contact protocols weren't just theoretical exercises." The response came not through conventional communications, but directly into their minds. A gentle telepathic touch that somehow felt both alien and familiar. "We are the collective," the voice echoed in their thoughts. "We come in peace, seeking dialogue with your species." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of diplomatic exchanges and technological demonstrations. The collective, as they called themselves, appeared to be everything humanity had hoped to find among the stars. Advanced, benevolent, willing to share their knowledge. They spoke of lifting humanity into a golden age, of sharing technologies that would end disease, hunger, and even death itself. But Dr. Rodriguez couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. The quantum readings from the alien ships contained patterns that didn't make sense, subtle contradictions that nagged at her scientific instincts. Late one night, as she ran yet another analysis, she noticed something in the background radiation. The aliens' quantum signatures weren't just complex. They were actively manipulating the fundamental fabric of reality around the station. She took her findings to Director Chen, who authorized a deeper scan using experimental quantum sensors they'd been developing in secret. What they discovered chilled them to their cores. The collective wasn't sharing technology. They were systematically mapping every aspect of human civilization, probing for weaknesses. Their telepathic communications were actually sophisticated scans of human neural patterns. But the most disturbing discovery came from analyzing the quantum wake of their ships. The collective had visited countless other civilizations, and none of them still existed. Each encounter followed the same pattern: peaceful contact, technology sharing, and then total quantum erasure of the entire species. "They're not here to help us evolve," Elena realized with horror. "They're testing us to see if we're a threat. The technology sharing is just a way to understand our capabilities." Director Chen immediately began encrypting their findings for transmission to Earth when the station's quantum alarms screamed to life. The alien ships were moving, their liquid metal hulls rippling with barely contained energy. The gentle telepathic touch returned, but this time it held an edge of cold amusement. "Clever humans," the collective consciousness echoed in their minds. "You've discovered our purpose far sooner than expected. Most species require months of observation before they begin to suspect. Perhaps you are more dangerous than we initially assessed." The central alien ship began to transform, its fluid geometry reshaping itself into something that defied description. Energy readings went off the scale as it prepared to fire a weapon that would erase Ganymede Station from reality itself. But Elena had one last card to play. In studying the aliens' quantum signatures, she had discovered something extraordinary about human consciousness. A quantum resonance pattern unique to human brains that the aliens couldn't detect or replicate. In the final seconds before the weapon fired, she activated an experimental quantum shield of her own design, one that drew power not from technology, but from the combined consciousness of every human on the station. The alien weapon fired, a beam of pure quantum erasure that should have removed the station from existence. Instead, It scattered harmlessly against a shield made of human thought and determination. For the first time, uncertainty rippled through the collective's telepathic voice. "Impossible," they broadcast. "Your technology is primitive. You cannot possess quantum consciousness shielding." Elena allowed herself a grim smile as she transmitted their findings to Earth through a quantum-encrypted channel. The collective had made a crucial mistake. They had judged humanity solely by their technology, never considering that human consciousness itself might be their greatest weapon. As the alien ships regrouped for another attack, emergency quantum drives across the solar system began powering up. Humanity had its warning, and more importantly, they had proof that the supposedly invincible collective could be resisted. The real war for survival was about to begin, and thanks to Elena's discovery, humanity had a fighting chance. Director Chen's voice rang out across the station. "All personnel to battle stations. Today we show these aliens that humanity isn't just another species to be erased. Today we teach them why you should never underestimate the human spirit." The quantum shields hummed with the combined mental energy of the station's crew as the collective's ships moved in for another attack. This wasn't just first contact anymore. It was humanity's first stand against a force that had destroyed countless civilizations. And unlike those who came before, humanity had something the collective had never encountered: the unique quantum properties of the human mind and the indomitable will to survive against impossible odds. 3 months after the Ganymede incident, Earth's orbital shipyards hummed with desperate activity. The massive frame of humanity's last hope took shape against the backdrop of stars. The ESS Defiant. Unlike the sleek, conventional warships that made up Earth's defense fleet, the Defiant was something entirely new, its design incorporating the quantum consciousness principles discovered by Dr. Rodriguez. Admiral Sarah Way stood in the observation deck of Unity Station, watching construction drones swarm around the experimental vessel. Behind her, the holographic representations of Earth's Unified Defense Council flickered with barely contained anxiety. "The collective has already erased 3 outer colony outposts," General Santos reported, his hologram crackling with static. "Their ships appear at the edge of our sensor range, fire their quantum weapons, and entire communities just cease to exist. No debris, no radiation signature, nothing. It's like they never existed at all." Sarah's jaw tightened. "And our conventional weapons?" "Useless," Dr. Rodriguez answered, stepping out of the lift to join the meeting. The scientist looked like she hadn't slept in days, but her eyes burned with fierce determination. "Their quantum fields simply negate any normal matter or energy we throw at them. But," she waved her hand, bringing up a complex holographic display, "we finished integrating the quantum consciousness cores into the Defiance systems." The display showed a network of crystalline chambers throughout the ship, each designed to amplify and channel the quantum properties of human consciousness. It was theoretical technology, developed at a breakneck pace based on Elena's discoveries at Ganymede Station. "The ship isn't just controlled by its crew," Elena explained, highlighting key systems. "It's an extension of their combined consciousness. Every person aboard becomes part of a quantum neural network that can react and adapt faster than any computer system. More importantly, it can generate quantum fields that the collective can't predict or counter because they're based on human thought patterns." "And you're certain this will work?" Sarah asked, studying the schematics. Elena's expression was grim. "What I'm certain of is that we're out of options. The collective's main fleet will reach Mars in less than 2 weeks. If the Defiant fails, Earth is next." The ship's basic design had been revolutionary even before Elena's modifications. Its hull was composed of adaptive nanomaterials that could reconfigure themselves in response to damage. The quantum consciousness cores were integrated into every major system, allowing the crew to control the ship's functions through thought alone. But the true breakthrough was the quantum weapons system, designed to turn the collective's own reality-erasing technology against them. Sarah had already chosen her crew, the best pilots, engineers, and tactical officers Earth had to offer. Each had undergone intensive neural training to prepare them for interfacing with the ship's quantum systems. The real question was whether human minds could handle that level of quantum integration for extended periods. The first test runs had been promising but frightening. Crew members reported experiencing time differently, seeing multiple potential futures simultaneously, their consciousness expanding beyond normal human perception. Some suffered severe migraines and disorientation after disconnecting from the system. But they were learning, adapting, pushing the boundaries of what human consciousness could achieve. The Defiant launches in 48 hours, Sarah announced to the Council. We'll take up position at the Mars Defense Line and emergency alarms cut through the station. Lieutenant Commander James Chen burst onto the observation deck, his face pale. Admiral, we're detecting quantum distortions in the inner solar system. The collective, they're not waiting. A strike force just appeared in Earth orbit. Sarah rushed to the window. High above the atmosphere, reality itself seemed to tear open as three of the collective's liquid metal ships emerged. Their hulls rippled with deadly purpose as they moved into attack formation. We're not ready, Elena whispered. The Defiant's quantum cores aren't fully calibrated. If we launch now, or we don't launch at all. Sarah cut her off, already moving toward the emergency shuttle bay. Sound General Quarters. All personnel to battle stations. Begin emergency startup sequence for the Defiant. The next 30 minutes were organized chaos as crew members rushed to their positions. Sarah reached the Defiant's bridge just as the first quantum attack struck Earth's orbital defenses. Conventional shields collapsed instantly, entire defense platforms being erased from existence. All hands, this is the Admiral, Sarah broadcast as she connected to her neural interface chair. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. The quantum integration will feel strange, disorienting, but remember your training. Let your consciousness flow into the ship's systems naturally. We're not just fighting for ourselves anymore. We're fighting for every species the collective has erased, and for every species they plan to destroy after us. The quantum cores hummed to life. Sarah felt her consciousness expanding, merging with her crews, with the ship itself. Through the Defiant's sensors, she could perceive quantum possibilities spreading out like a web of light. The collected ships weren't just visible. She could see the complex quantum equations that governed their reality-erasing weapons. This is impossible. The collective's telepathic voice echoed through their minds. Your species is too primitive to achieve quantum consciousness integration. Sarah allowed herself a fierce smile as the Defiant systems came fully online, powered by the combined will of its crew. You're about to learn something important about humans, she thought back at them. We don't accept limitations. We break them. The Defiant launched from its berth, its hull shifting and adapting as the crew's collective consciousness guided it into battle. They were outnumbered, using experimental technology that could kill them all, facing an enemy that had destroyed countless civilizations. But they had something the collective had never encountered before: the unpredictable, indomitable power of human consciousness itself. As the first quantum torpedoes streaked between the opposing ships, Sarah felt her crew's determination burning like a star in their shared consciousness. Win or lose, the collective was about to learn why humanity had survived every challenge their harsh universe had thrown at them. The real question was whether the aliens were ready for what humanity could become when pushed to their absolute limits. The quantum wake of the collected ships rippled through space like waves on a dark ocean. From the Defiant's quantum-enhanced sensors, Sarah could track their energy signatures across the solar system. The initial battle over Earth had ended in a stalemate. The collective's strike force had withdrawn after the Defiant demonstrated its ability to resist their quantum erasure weapons, but not before destroying 3 major orbital platforms. They're regrouping near Saturn, Lieutenant Commander Chen reported, his consciousness intertwined with the ship's tactical systems. Through their shared neural network, the entire crew could perceive his analysis. Their energy signatures suggest they're calling for reinforcements. Sarah studied the quantum probability streams flowing through her enhanced perception. The Defiant's integration of human consciousness had proven more powerful than anyone had expected. They couldn't match the collective's raw technological superiority, but they could do something the aliens found impossible to predict. They could intuit quantum possibilities through human instinct. Dr. Rodriguez, Sarah called out, though in their shared consciousness, speaking was hardly necessary. What have you learned about their quantum field generators? Elena's thoughts flowed through the neural network, accompanied by complex mathematical models. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's rigid. They rely on pure mathematical precision. Every quantum manipulation follows exact, predictable patterns. But human consciousness is messy. We make intuitive leaps they can't understand, which means we can hit them where they least expect it, Sarah concluded. She opened her awareness to the entire crew, sharing her developing strategy. We're not going to win this war through direct confrontation. We're going to teach them the meaning of human ingenuity. The plan that formed in their collective consciousness was audacious. Instead of meeting the collective's reinforcements in open battle, they would turn their own methodical nature against them. The Defiant's first target was a quantum communication relay the aliens had established in the Kuiper Belt. Using the quantum properties of human consciousness, they could generate interference patterns that the collective's rigid systems couldn't compensate for. It was like trying to solve a poem with pure mathematics. The subjective, intuitive nature of human thought created quantum ripples that their technology couldn't predict or counter. The Defiant struck without warning. Their quantum weapons, guided by human intuition rather than pure calculation, bypassed the relay's defenses completely. The facility didn't just cease functioning. It created a cascade of quantum disruptions throughout the collective's network. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Chen reported with grim satisfaction. Their ships are responding exactly as predicted. They're splitting up to investigate the disruptions. Sarah felt a fierce pride in her crew's accomplishment. The collective had never faced an enemy that could manipulate quantum fields through consciousness alone. Their perfect mathematical models couldn't account for human unpredictability. But their victory was short-lived. A massive quantum distortion erupted near Jupiter, heralding the arrival of something far larger than any collective ship they'd encountered before. The vessel that emerged was the size of a small moon, its liquid metal hull forming impossible geometries. Primitive humans, the familiar telepathic voice resonated through their minds, but now it carried an edge of genuine concern. You have forced us to escalate this conflict. The Harbinger has been summoned to deal with your quantum consciousness aberration. The massive ship's presence distorted space-time itself. Even through their quantum-enhanced perception, looking at it directly was painful. This wasn't just a warship. It was a mobile quantum engineering platform, capable of rewriting the laws of physics in its vicinity. All hands, prepare for quantum combat, Sarah ordered, but her tactical analysis was already flowing through the neural network. The Harbinger's raw power was overwhelming, but its very size and complexity made it dependent on rigid mathematical principles. The more complex the quantum engineering, the more predictable it had to be. Dr. Rodriguez, remember that theory you proposed about quantum consciousness cascades. Sarah's thoughts carried a hint of calculated recklessness, the one that might temporarily merge every crew member's consciousness into a single quantum entity. Elena's alarm rippled through the network. Admiral, that's completely theoretical. The mental strain could kill us all, and even if it works, we'd be fundamentally altering our own consciousness. We might not be able to return to normal human perception. And if we do nothing, humanity will cease to exist entirely, Sarah countered. Sometimes the only way to win an impossible battle is to become something impossible ourselves. The Harbinger's first attack warped reality in a sphere 5,000 kilometers wide. Dozens of asteroids simply ceased to exist, erased so completely that even their gravitational influence on nearby objects vanished. But Sarah had already made her decision. Through the neural network, she shared her plan with the crew. The response was unanimous. They would rather risk everything on a desperate gamble than watch Earth be erased from existence. "Begin quantum consciousness cascade," Sarah ordered. "Let's show them what humanity becomes when we stop playing by the rules of conventional reality." As the Harbinger prepared its second attack, the Defiant's quantum cores pulsed with unprecedented energy. The barrier between individual human consciousness began to dissolve, merging the crew's minds into something entirely new. A quantum intelligence that existed in multiple realities simultaneously, guided by human intuition, but unconstrained by physical limitations. The collective was about to learn that they weren't the only ones who could rewrite the rules of reality. But unlike their rigid mathematical approach, humanity's version would be powered by something they could never understand: the chaotic, creative, indomitable human spirit. The quantum consciousness cascade transformed the crew of the Defiant into something unprecedented in human history. Individual thoughts merged into a collective quantum intelligence, but unlike the rigid hive mind of the collective, this fusion maintained the chaos and creativity that made humanity unique. Through their shared perception, they existed across multiple quantum states simultaneously, seeing reality not as a single timeline, but as an infinite web of possibilities. "This is..." Elena's thoughts rippled through their shared consciousness, a mix of scientific awe and human wonder. "We're not just reading quantum states anymore. We're actually existing in quantum superposition." The Harbinger's massive form loomed before them, its reality-warping weapons preparing another attack. But through their enhanced perception, the crew could see something the collective had missed. Their own quantum technology was creating gaps in the fabric of space-time, microscopic inconsistencies that only a consciousness existing in quantum superposition could detect. "They've optimized their technology so completely that it's become predictable," Sarah realized, her thoughts echoing through the merged consciousness. "Every quantum manipulation follows exact mathematical patterns. But reality itself isn't purely mathematical. It has an element of fundamental uncertainty that they've engineered out of their systems." The Defiant moved in ways that should have been impossible, sliding between quantum states as the crew's merged consciousness guided it through probability spaces the collective couldn't perceive. The Harbinger's attacks, devastating as they were, struck only empty possibilities while the Defiant existed in others. But the strain on the crew was immense. Existing in quantum superposition went against every aspect of normal human consciousness. Sarah could feel her crew's minds struggling to maintain cohesion, their merged consciousness threatening to fragment under the pressure of perceiving multiple realities simultaneously. "Admiral," Chen's thoughts carried a warning. "Neural patterns are becoming unstable. We can't maintain this state for more than a few minutes." Sarah felt it too, the growing pressure as their minds fought against the unnatural state of quantum existence. But in that struggle, she discovered something extraordinary. The very instability of human consciousness, its resistance to permanent quantum merger, was creating ripple effects in the quantum field that the collective's technology couldn't account for. They engineered their quantum weapons assuming consciousness would follow mathematical rules. Elena's scientific insight flowed through their shared awareness. But human consciousness is inherently unpredictable. Our very resistance to quantum stability is generating interference patterns in their fields. The Harbinger's next attack wasn't just a quantum erasure beam. It was an attempt to stabilize the quantum field around the Defiant, to force their consciousness into a predictable state that could be targeted. But the more they resisted, the more chaos they introduced into the quantum field. "Do you understand now?" Sarah projected her thoughts directly at the collective. "This is why you've never encountered a species like us before. We don't seek perfect order. We thrive in chaos. We evolve through uncertainty. Every attempt you make to predict and control us only makes us more unpredictable." The response from the collective carried something they'd never detected before: fear. "Your quantum consciousness pattern is an aberration. It threatens the fundamental order we have maintained across galaxies. You must be erased before this chaos spreads." The Harbinger's hull began to transform, its liquid metal structure flowing into new configurations as it prepared to unleash its full reality warping potential. But in doing so, it revealed something crucial. The quantum mathematics governing its transformations had to follow exact patterns. The more complex the transformation, the more rigid and predictable it became. All hands, Sarah's command flowed through their merged consciousness. We're going to use their own complexity against them. Every time they try to predict our movements, we'll do the opposite. Every pattern they establish, we'll break. Let's show them why humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to defy expectations. The Defiant's quantum cores pulsed with energy as the crew's merged consciousness prepared for their most daring maneuver yet. They weren't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to prove that the fundamental nature of human consciousness, its wonderful unpredictability and capacity for innovation, was more powerful than any technology built on pure mathematical precision. As the Harbinger unleashed its reality-warping attack, the crew of the Defiant prepared to demonstrate why humanity's place in the cosmos couldn't be calculated, controlled, or erased. Their very existence was about to become a lesson in why the most powerful force in the universe isn't perfect order. It's the beautiful chaos of the human spirit. Through their merged quantum consciousness, the crew of the Defiant perceived the Harbinger's attack as a crystalline pattern of mathematical perfection, and that perfection was its weakness. The massive reality-warping beam approached with the inevitability of a solved equation, but humanity had long since learned that the most important questions in the universe didn't have perfect solutions. Now, Sarah's command resonated through their shared consciousness. The Defiant's quantum cores pulsed with energy as the crew executed their desperate gambit. Instead of trying to avoid or counter the Harbinger's attack, they embraced the chaos of human consciousness itself. Elena's scientific insights flowed through their neural network. Every consciousness generates its own quantum field. With our minds merged like this, we're creating quantum interference patterns they can't predict. The more they try to impose mathematical order, the more our chaos disrupts their calculations. The Harbinger's reality-warping beam struck, not a single beam, but an infinite array of possibilities collapsing into a single devastating attack. But the Defiant's crew existed in quantum superposition, their merged consciousness spreading across multiple states of reality simultaneously. The beam didn't miss, rather, it struck every possible version of the Defiant except the ones that actually existed. Impossible. The collective's thoughts carried genuine fear now. Your consciousness pattern defies quantum coherence. You should not be able to maintain stability in this state. Sarah allowed her fierce pride in humanity to flow through their shared awareness. That's because you are still thinking like machines. You see our resistance to quantum stability as a weakness, but it's our greatest strength. We don't need perfect coherence. We thrive in uncertainty. The Defiant moved through quantum space in ways that defied the collective's fundamental understanding of consciousness. Every attack they launched was met with impossible adaptations as the crew's merged minds intuited possibilities faster than the aliens' technology could calculate them. But the strain was becoming critical. Human minds weren't meant to exist in quantum superposition, and the crew's merged consciousness was beginning to fragment. They needed to end this quickly. All quantum cores to maximum, Sarah ordered. We're going to show them exactly what happens when human creativity meets quantum physics. The Defiant systems surged with power as the crew focused their collective will. Instead of fighting against the natural chaos of human consciousness, they amplified it. Their quantum field became a storm of possibilities, each one carrying the spark of human innovation and defiance. The Harbinger attempted to compensate, its liquid metal hull flowing into increasingly complex patterns as it tried to calculate every possible outcome. But with each transformation, it became more rigid, more predictable, trapped by its own perfect mathematics. You know why you've never encountered a species like us before. Sarah projected her thoughts directly at the collective. Because you've been eliminating any civilization that showed signs of quantum consciousness potential. You're so focused on maintaining perfect order that you've been systematically destroying the very thing that could have helped you evolve. The beautiful chaos of organic consciousness. The defiance struck, not with conventional weapons or even quantum technology, but with the full unleashed potential of human consciousness itself. The quantum interference patterns generated by their merged minds cascaded through the Harbinger systems, introducing an element of uncertainty that its rigid quantum mathematics couldn't resolve. Reality itself seemed to shudder as the massive ship's perfect calculations began to break down. Its liquid metal hull froze in mid-transformation, caught between possibilities it couldn't reconcile. Your species, the collective broadcast, what are you?